Welcome to Lawgical, the UAE's first legal podcast. My name is Tim Elliott. Lawgical comes to you from the Dubai-based legal firm HPL Yamalova and Pleska. As is always the case, I'm joined by the managing partner, Ludmila Yamalova. Nice to see you, Ludmila.
Good to see you too, Tim.
Today, family and friends visas. Once again, Ludmila, part of sweeping changes to the visa system here in the Emirates that we've seen and discussed at some length after the UAE Cabinet Resolution 65 of 2022. Now, this visa specifically benefits families and friends if you're a resident here in the UAE.
Yes, indeed, and as many would appreciate, this visa therefore would be of much interest to many, because so many of us who live here, expats, most of us have family and friends outside of the UAE, and who want and do come visit us here frequently. So there's having this kind of ease of applying for a visit visa to see your family is of great comfort and convenience for everyone, because if it's easy to come and visit your family here and your friends, then it becomes a lot more.
As long as you want them to visit.
Yes, you're right.
Some people turn up a bit too much.
Yeah, for sure. I'm sure we can all attest to it. It happened to many of us. But that being said, I sort of digress a little bit, but when I came here first 13, 14 years ago almost, it was a lot easier for expats here to go outside of the UAE to travel, because the work ethics here and the sort of work schedule perhaps was a lot more flexible and a lot cushier. These days, it's a lot harder to just take off for 3 months in the summer, as was the case before. But at the same time, for a lot of expats, that was one of the attractions of being able to leave their home to come and live in the UAE. This is before the UAE became what it is today. So just having the ease of being able to leave the country and see their family and friends outside of the UAE was kind of one of the main factors why they could justify leaving their home and coming to this otherwise unknown land. Now it's a lot less comfortable and or flexible in terms of just being able to go for months at a time and leave the UAE when the weather gets too hot. So now that means there's a reverse traffic. We need more of our families and friends to come visit us versus us going to visit them, 1 and 2. As we've said before, the UAE has a lot more to offer now, and so much to offer that perhaps it's one of the most popular places to visit in the world for many, and not once. And in particular, because every time in between 6 months of your visits, there'll be some other new landmark, a new attraction that's to explore. So every time there's something new to explore. So therefore, having this specialized, and it's a special visa for family and friends, importantly. It's not just a tourist visa, as was the case before. In most other cases, there was a tourist visa where, for example, you would have a sponsor, a family member. But it was a tourist visa, and you would have been sponsored by a family member. Under this particular visa, you have a specialized family, so called a family visa, a family and friends visa. So you're not just here on tourism per se. It's very clear what you're coming here for, because you don't need the pretense of a travel agency, for example. But 1 and 2, actually, which is important, you no longer need a guarantor or host in the UAE, as was the case before. So before, your family had to make an invitation or kind of vouch for you, put some guarantees, or if it was not a family member, they would have done that because it was easier for a professional agency to do it, like a travel agency, they would do it. So, but they were ultimately your guarantor or sponsor. So under this new visa, and as by the way, once again, as you said, that's the UAE Cabinet Resolution number 65 2022, or the UAE Immigration Law, and Article 19 in particular. So under this particular visa now is self-sponsored. So you no longer need a family member or real estate or travel agency to be your guarantor or host. You are your own person, you're your boss, so this is your own self-sponsored visa. But the only thing you need to do is to show a proof of financial security to apply, or sufficient security to apply. And the amount of this financial security ranges from 1,000 dirhams to 3,000 dirhams. So we're talking about $300 to about $800. So All in all, not significant, because remember, this is basically just, it's a proof of financial security. So actually, this kind of money you have to deposit with the authorities
Okay.
as sort of guarantee that you will be leaving, one, and two, in the event something happens, that the government has some money to be able to cover your expenses.
Okay.
So it's relatively speaking, it's not that expensive. It's much cheaper than it was before.
Well, it's not a prohibitive amount, is it? How long does this visa last, the family and friends visa last? And I think this is an important point, if you can clarify this as well. Is it single or multiple entry?
Yes, so the visa, the default is you can apply either for 30 days or you can apply for 90 days.
Okay.
So both options are there.
Right.
And in both options, they are extendable, and they're extendable for the similar amount. So if you're applying for 30 days, you can extend it for additional 30 days.
Okay.
If you're applying for 90 days, you can extend it for another 90 days. So it's about 180 days. Think about it. It's almost 6 months.
Yeah.
So you could be on this visa. You could be in the UAE for 6 months. And to answer your other question, and you can apply either for a single entry or multiple entry. So here you are. You have now an option to apply have a family or friend visit visa into the UAE that is self-sponsored, so you're not dependent on one particular family member or one particular friend, and so you are your own person. You're responsible for your own visa, with a financial security that's fairly manageable and, as you said, not prohibitive. And it could be for multiple entries, so you can spend up to 6 months in the country, coming and going, and visiting your family here.
Again, it's part of what is a whole raft of changes to the visa system. It's so much easier to visit, to stay for extended periods, and it's just a far more flexible system.
Yes, and so in terms of the practicalities of how do you apply, so all of these visas under this particular immigration law, which is once again the UAE immigration law article Cabinet decision number 65 2022. So the authority that governs all these different visas is what's called the ICA, the Identity and Citizenship Authority, ICA. So you can just go on the ICA website and you can find all these types of visas that are listed on the website itself, but they're not just listed there, but the requirements for each one of these visas are listed. And more importantly, you can apply for all these different visas through the ICA website. So this is important because now it's all very much centralized in terms of the country. So it's not Dubai versus Abu Dhabi versus Ajman. These laws we're talking about in these types of visas, they're federal. So the same visas, the same applications, the same terms and conditions apply across the UAE. One, and two, you're no longer dependent on a particular travel agency in Dubai or Ras Al Khaimah or Al Kuwait. It's all done through a centralized government authority, and in particular for something like this, where you don't need to have a sponsor, so you are self-sponsored, so you can apply through this ICA website. It's fairly transparent. Obviously, the law is quite new still, so you need to be prepared that if you're doing it right now, and that there may be some little growing pains here and there. There'll be a little maybe back and forth until the system is properly implemented to take into account every possible eventuality. But ultimately, it's one centralized portal through which you submit all your documents, and it's secure because it's government. It's not some sort of private entity, and it's all done remotely. So you don't even really need to go to any specific offices. It's all submitted through the system. All the documents and all the decisions are submitted online. And from our experience already, we've seen so far, whenever there is a request for additional documents and such, the authorities communicate with you through either emails or through this sort of the portal. So truly technology at its best.
That's another episode of Lawgical, Family and Friends Visas this time. Our legal expert, as ever, Ludmila Yamalova, Managing Partner at Yamalova and Platka. And a thank you to you.
Thank you, Tim.
Find us on LYLAW on social media, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn. We have our library of hundreds of podcasts, ever growing, all kinds of legal matters here in the Emirates covered, and all free to listen to. If you'd like a legal question answered in a future episode of Lawgical, or you'd like to talk to a qualified UAE experienced legal professional, click on contact at lylawyers.com.